Hello, friends. Mahabharat has been a very epic document, not only for Indians, but for everybody, for all the people, because there are a lot of management lessons that we learn from Mahabharat. And today we have a very special lesson that we want to learn. And in fact, I will present this to you with examples. And today's management lesson is neglect nobody. And how this is possible? How do you ensure that you are, as a leader, as a management person, as a owner of your company, how do you ensure that you manage all the resources and neglect nobody, also neglect no idea on the table? So this is something that we learn from Mahabharata. So to discuss this, I will have to basically draw attention to two younger brothers of Pandavas. So you know that Pandavas were five brothers, and the three brothers were very powerful: Arjun, Bhim, and Yudhishthir. But there were two other younger siblings, which were Nakul and Sahadev. Their contribution is not very well known, and it seems, if you just read Mahabharata, it seems that they did not play a major role in contributing to the war efforts. But on the contrary, they played a very, very vital role. So even though if people don't know about their contribution, my role today is to basically tell them about Nakul and Sahadev, focus on these two brothers who were the younger siblings among the Pandavas, and talk about their contribution, and thus driving the point of neglect no one. So, Nakul, let's talk about Nakul first. Nakul was expert in medicines. He was very capable person. His responsibility during the war was to basically revive human beings who were fatally injured, and also the animals who were injured fatally or otherwise during the battle. And he actually created the hospital, and he had the right knowledge, and he used to basically, at the end of the day, every day, they will bring the survivors into their makeshift hospital and fix these survivors so that they can become fighting fit next day morning. And if Nakul had not established this kind of setup, the chances are that Pandavas would have died out because of sheer numbers of the opposite side, which is the Kauravas. So this is a contribution, very, very vital contribution from Nakul. Let's talk about his twin brother Sahadev. Now Sahadev was expert in astrology and astrophysics. So these two subjects, even though we understand Mahabharata as the fighters are only indulging in fighting using all kinds of weapon, and whoever has more muscle in their arms will win, or expertise in using a particular weapon. But how to use that weapon, and how this astrophysics play a role, how the weather phenomena, the gravity, and all that was determined by Sahadev. So he was expert in basically guiding the war effort in the right direction. So if you see that there is a general in the army, there are fighting force, there are different weapons, and then obviously there are soldiers. The soldiers and all these weaponry is basically set up in in terms of teams, so that in different formations, so that when the battle starts, you can actually carry on like a project. When you actually run your company, you exactly do the same thing. You align your resources so that you can achieve the success in that particular project. But how do you ensure that these background activities like HR, what Nakul was doing, he was actually sort of managing the human resources. And also, how do you deploy your human resources? That was done by Sahadev, the planning part, using the business intelligence. That was done by Sahadev. So we know that uh, they were positions. There were five brothers, and how do you place these warriors based on the position, the situation of the weather or the terrain or any anomaly which is going to be created by gravity, etc. So all that analysis also went in when Pandavas decided their war strategy. So it is not only that, okay, fine, I'm standing, nobody can defeat me, I'm very powerful, I'm very muscular, and since I'm muscular, I have the knowledge of all kinds of weapon, I'm going to win the war. That is not the case. So the learning straight away from Mahabharata is that you don't want to neglect whatever resources you have and how effectively use those resources to achieve your ultimate goal. That is really the point. So and I'm using the example of five brothers. However, there were several examples. This example I have chosen because most of us know about these five characters. You know, the five brothers. Most of us know, and that is why I'm taking an easier route where I'm explaining how you have to strategize your business by neglecting no one. And each one brings certain value. Each team member brings certain value on the table, which has to be considered and has to be planned out, has to be utilized in order to achieve your goal. So this is exactly what a neglect no one strategy is all about, that Mahabharata teaches us. Now, how do you basically counter, how do you create a counter towards your competition? So now I have to basically tell you a little story. Bhishma was a general of the Kauravas army, and Bhishma himself was such a person. He could not die. He had not die quality. You know, nobody could kill him, not even death. That is how the Mahabharata describes the Bhishma. And on top of it, see, first of all, he will not die. Second, he is the ultimate warrior. Even gods with their power will not be able to face and defeat Bhishma. So if no, he can't kill a general, you can't defeat him. What chance the enemy has in front of such an army? Because if you look at the Second World War, allies were mostly using snipers to kill these commanding officers on the German side, and that is how, when the commanding officer dies, the army under that commanding officer is rendered useless. So similarly, in the ancient time, when you kill a general, you make the entire army useless. But this is a general which cannot be killed, and nobody can defeat him. Whatever weapons you have, it does not affect him. So the other opponent for Pandavas was such a formidable opponent. However, because he was related to Pandavas, he was their great grandfather. So, and he loved Pandavas. So he actually said that I will not kill Pandavas in the battle. And when a general makes a statement like this, that, you know, I will neither arrest the enemy, enemy, nor I will kill them, that means the battle has already lost. So there were a lot of confusion in the Kauravas camp, where the general, although he looked mighty and superhuman, but in his mind, he is already defeated, because he's thinking that, look, I will not go against Pandavas, who are very loved ones for me. So they are like my kids. I cannot kill them, neither I will arrest them. So Kauravas said, then why you are basically fighting? And Kauravas did not had gumption to remove him from the general position, because if they had done that, then the whole camp would have fallen apart. So there was an agreement made between Duryodhan, who was the prince, the crown prince in Kauravas side, and the general, which is Bhishma, which is that, all right, you don't kill Pandavas, we will do it, but you destroy the Pandavas army. And for that, Bhishma agreed. So the agreement was that he will kill 100,000 soldiers every day on the on the Pandavas side. So this is exactly what he was doing for the 10 days he was the general, and that became a very big problem, because if you're killing so many soldiers on daily basis, then Pandavas would have actually died out even before the 10 days. And that was the strategy they agreed upon considering all emotional aspect also that Bhishma had. So this was a problem, if uh, on the Pandavas side, if they had not planned out the whole strategy of building hospitals and reviving the soldiers for the next day, because Bhishma was killing left, right, center on daily basis. His target was 100,000 soldiers every day. He has to kill because that was his commitment. Otherwise, if he had not followed his commitment, that means he had to now officially go and kill Pandavas, which he did not do. So he was very happy killing 100,000 soldiers on daily basis. Killing 100,000 men every day, Pandavas would have been wiped out in 4 to 5 days of the battle. But Nakul and Sahadev were playing a role in the background where they were reviving these soldiers, fallen soldiers, during the night so that the army looks as big next day. And that is a very big contribution. If Pandavas had neglected that these Nakul and Sahadev, they are very young and they don't have any powers, then all of this background activity would not have been planned out. However, we know that today when army moves, the army has to plan their resources very well because, for example, supply lines and what resources are available. Because if these are the people who are moving, even today, if the supply lines are broken, the army loses the battle. So the role that Nakul and Sahadev played during Mahabharata is as important as building the entire ecosystem for Pandavas so that they can continue the battle and they can even, and you see eventually they defeated Kauravas, even though Kauravas army at the beginning were twice the size of Pandavas army. So this is a very big contribution of Nakul and Sahadev. They established hospitals for animals and also for humans so that animals and humans can be revived. And when it comes to use of weaponry, I mean, because we don't hear about, what did they fight for, Nakul and Sahadev. So they were master swordsmen. But in those days, the sword fight was not very popular. In those days, it was a time, it was an era when, there were the era of macho-ness, more bigger human beings, lot of muscles, and you can throw rocks like mountains. That was the era. Whereas both Nakul and Sahadev, they were the twin brothers. They actually were expert in sword fighting. So wherever they could show their valor, they did. There were a lot of battles they took during Mahabharata and they killed their opponent. However, their contribution is not only as a warrior but also as administration of the entire camp. And because of their beautiful administration, the Pandavas were able to win the war. So this is very similar to what we hear today, that in today's world, in today's environment, we have these organizations where different functions of the company have to fit in together like a jigsaw. The management has to ensure that all departments are equally important. You cannot say that, okay, fine, I'm running a company, so I will not treat HR with equal importance. So you can't do that, because if you do, then you will hit out somewhere and your team will not be successful. So you as a leader have to ensure that all departments of your organizations are working together like a jigsaw puzzle, and they fit in perfectly. So that everything works together, and that is the role of the leader. Now, I have already made a video previously about the leader, the mentor. Leader was obviously Yudhishthir, but the mentor was Krishna. And today's topic is neglect no one, and this is a beautiful example where no expertise was neglected and everything was planned out by Pandavas very, very effectively, much more effectively than Kaurava, and that is why they were able to win the battle of Mahabharata. Today we know this battle was such a critical aspect of the growth of human civilization or Indian civilization, that this battle is now known as the battle for righteousness. And since Pandavas won the war, the righteousness was established, led by Krishna. so righteousness was established. So, friends, this is a topic which is neglect no one. That is what we learn from Mahabharata. If you have any comments, suggestions, feel free to write in. And by the way, I see a comment from a viewer, Edify Learning. It is flashing on the screen, and the Edify Learning is saying that you have taken a very nice topic. So Edify Learning, thank you so much for watching us live, and thank you so much for your comment. If you have any suggestions, feel free to send in your comments. And friends, as always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you again very soon.